Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful crowd we're here. We're recording live at Everlasting Life Restaurant in Capitol Heights, Maryland. Once again, you're here for the Roland Grimes Not Just Sports Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Roland Bubba Grimes, and right now we have a treat for you as we begin to discuss the business of real estate. Right now I have Mr. Charles Ottley, who is the owner of his own real estate company. Doesn't happen a whole lot here in the Washington, D.C. area, but he's originally from a place that we affectionately know as Money Earning Mount Vernon, New York. Now, when I introduce him, instead of clapping, you all can boo him because he's actually from New York City. And we know how we feel about University of Connecticut and all them folks. We're from the DMV, so we can't stand y'all. I just want you to know that right now. But since you're here with us, we're going to have to show you love tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Do me a favor, put your hands together for Mr. Charles Ottley. Chuck.
Yes, sir.
Look, what day did you wake up and say to yourself, I'm going to put myself through this meat grinder and I am going to have a real estate company? And that day that you woke up and said that, did any of your friends, family, or loved ones look at you and say, you are completely out of your damn mind? And then after that, once you heard that feedback from them, what made you still decide to run head first into that burning building and do this thing that you're doing right now? And did you bring your medication with you to do the show?
No, it was actually not that bad of a situation. My wife and I were young and married and looking for a house, and I wanted to find out how to get one for free. So, for no money.
All right, that's the end of our show right there, man. Come on.
No,
is anybody hip to buying a house for free? Just let me know.
I wasn't really buy a house for no money because I had no money.
That's not a bad mindset.
Yeah, exactly.
So you had a wife with no money.
Yeah, exactly.
And you survived to talk about it. My man.
Well, Chuck, you need to write a book. That's a book in itself.
I had a wife with no money.
Wow, he got a hell of a title, don't he? Wow.
Just give him a hand.
Love is wonderful.
Give him a hand for excitement.
Love is blind, but the neighbors can see.
You see what happens when you come on a Roland Grimes show? Man, other stuff comes out.
Mrs. Ottley, he had no money. You didn't know this, but the brother had no money.
She had the checkbook.
Oh.
She knew the deal. But she stayed in for the long haul. And that's a good thing.
Man, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So when you went on this endeavor to find out how to buy a house with no money, what did you uncover, brother?
The fact is that you can. You need a job. You need some money. So I got into the business and just to see what was going on, and I loved it. I really did. I wasn't a realtor. Wasn't a broker at that time.
Okay.
But I got into the business, and then, some 20 years down the road or so, I decided to open up my own company. So I said, there's got to be a better way to help agents be better at what they do. And there's only really one reason to open up a company. That's when you want to help realtors be better. There are a lot of people that open up brokerages just for the fun of it, or just because they want to make more money.
Or the glamour.
You got to help your people. You really do. You have to bring a lot to them, support them, and build them up.
Wow.
And your benefit is that they were at one salary level, now they're at another salary level. Their family is benefiting. You've given legacy wealth to the family. So it's a good thing.
So you help improve the quality of life of those who are working with you by giving them some guidance.
Certainly try, yes, sir.
Skip, before you come in, let me ask you a question. Now, I'm not going to get into right now the licensing aspects of it and all the regulations you have to go through, but in terms of what is the difference, for those who don't know, what is the difference between an agent and a broker?
Good question. Good question.
Yeah, that's why I asked.
You're good at that. All right, a broker, you've been in the business for at least 3 years. You've sold at least $3 million worth of real estate, and you've taken a test. So there's really not much difference between a producing agent, as some agents know, and a broker. Just somebody chooses to be. Now, what you're actually talking about is what's called the broker of record. That means that when as far as the real estate commission is concerned, you're the one who gets hauled into court when things go wrong, or you're the one responsible for the practices of the realtors under your charge.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit different than just being a broker.
So also when you're an agent, you're part of something, but when you're the broker, you actually are responsible for helping to keep the office afloat, the support staff, secretarial, clerical,
Not only
promotions.
that, mainly you're supervising the agents. You're
Yeah.
making sure that they're doing the business, with proper licensing procedures and practices, and that they're not hurting anybody,
Right.
they're not violating the law. And things.
Exactly. So you're responsible also for the liability.
Yes, sir.
You got a big liability aspect there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you look back at when you started, compared to where you are now, because I worked for about 7 years on the financial side of the mortgage business, and I really enjoyed it. This is before the market crash and all that stuff. But what would you say make your company, or would make your company a lot different from most brokerage firms or real estate companies as it relates to doing business with the finance side of the business?
Well, the thing that makes my company better, Sell State Dominion Realty, is that we just don't take anybody. You really have to have a certain volume level to come in, because we're not sort of the kind of hand-holding, this is how you write a contract type of company. Most of the people that come in our group have already been in business for a while. They're looking to go to a higher level. So it's a little bit different than a startup company like that, where you're just starting out. You want to go there where they have everything canned and ready for you.
Yeah.
So we're a little bit different. Henceforth, we pay a little bit more.
Okay.
So it's a little different business model
Okay.
than maybe some of these split shops are
Okay.
doing.
Now-
I know I'm talking kind of shop.
No, that's okay, because, off the record, you and I had a couple conversations, and one of the things that I noticed about what you're doing as it relates to the mortgage business is you have incorporated some other different things that can help people in the mortgage business. So why don't you talk a little bit about some of the things that you've incorporated as well since you first started?
Well, yeah, one of the aspects that I added was a credit restoration. A lot of times people will come and they want to buy a house, but they do not have the credit wherewithal. You need three things to buy a house. It's called CIA. You need credit, you need income, you need assets.
And a wife and no money. Four things.
No, but you need those three things. And income we can't do anything with. Assets, you got to save your money, and that depends on the market, because as you know, there were times where you just fog a mirror and they would give you the rest of the money. But you
Wait a minute, can you repeat that? There was a time when you did what?
They were called liar loans or ninja loans. No income, no job, no assets.
No doc loan.
Well, yeah, that's about to say, that jumped right out of my mind.
Yeah,
wow.
Those were the days,
Yeah.
I guess, but we're paying for it now.
No income
Man,
verification.
whatever. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. But there's a lot going on, and we incorporated the credit restoration to help people so that they can buy a house, so that they can buy that car, and they go into the program in 6 months to a year. There are people that are buying houses that couldn't do it before. So that's just an aspect that we added to it. We formed alliances with other mortgage companies, and so we have a plethora of people that we can go to depending on the situation to help people to get finance, because I still believe that the greatest asset that somebody can acquire, the easiest one, other than starting a business or creating wealth. It's the easiest way to create wealth is with real estate.
Yeah.
It's going to appreciate. We've passed the bad times. Those things won't happen again. That was a perfect storm. It won't happen again.
Right, of course.
We fixed all of that, but you can do that. You can pass that legacy wealth on to your children, invest in it, put them through school,
Right.
all of that. It's still just the American dream.
Still American dream. Look at this man is smiling. You can tell he enjoys what he does. You see the smile, Candace? It's like the American dream, and he's smiling. I'm like, okay. So the American dream turned into a nightmare back in like 2008, and then we started dreaming again. All right.
Yeah. There was a reason for that.
All right, well, look, I know where you're going. Hold on.
That's a whole other
That's
show.
a 1 hour show.
We'll be doing that show again in the future. What the hell happened to the real estate business in 2008 is going to be the name of that show. Before we bring Miss Clark on board after our next station break, Miss Markeisha, let me start by saying this on this end. Skip and I haven't talked about my entire pedigree. He knows a lot, but he doesn't know everything. So here's an example. I was actually in the mortgage business in Syracuse, New York, which in the city of Syracuse, the average house was like $69,000. So we all just went broke, because there was no money moving at the time. In addition to that, at a very ripe age of 23, 24 years old, I had a chance to inherit a community development credit union in Syracuse, New York. I became the treasurer and one of the directors of the credit union, and we learned how to package mortgages and sell them to the bigger banks. And unfortunately, Ronald Reagan didn't like that idea, so we closed our credit union and ran us out of Dodge. But that was that time. We lived past it now. What that means is it gives me a chance to do this show from a couple of different angles, because I've had a chance to be inside it, and I've also had a chance to observe it from the outside. Having said that to you, when this market is moving forward, okay, in the, what we call the DMV, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia area, what are some of the biggest differences between doing business on your end in the D.C. area versus the Maryland area versus Virginia area, or is it exactly the same across the board?
Absolutely not. What has happened is that there's been some diversity, and some areas have weathered the...
When you say diversity, give me definition of diversity.
Some of the areas have weathered the financial storm better. For example, Northern Virginia pretty much kept their value.
They were more elastic.
Well, there's a lot of different...
Of course.
Some parts of Maryland, the Montgomery County areas kept theirs. Some parts of Maryland, Prince George's County took hits and are now leading the state in foreclosures, and that had to do somewhat with underwriting guidelines and things like that. It's a real deep situation, but no, I mean, yes, it is absolutely different. The District of Columbia, great place, took a little bit of a dip, but it's now on the rise. Getting ready to put a house on the market that's going to be as is for $650. It's going to 50,000, tightened up 850, and it was purchased not too long ago for like 200. So good stuff going on here. Okay. Good stuff.
All right, super. So look, we're going to take a station break. Go ahead.
Something quick?
Yeah, please.
Your next guest, in Jerry Clark, wonderful young lady. I just met her today. We had a chance to interact, and you all are going to be really, really pleased at the depth of knowledge this young lady brings to the real estate business. I was just impressed. I've been in the business about 30 years, and she's a fresh voice, a fresh look, and yeah.
Okay, so before we close out, because I know Roland is moving on, why don't you take a few seconds or so and let people know how they can reach you, give out some numbers, website, things of that nature.
Right, again, my name is Chuck Ottley, Ottley. Everybody knows how to spell Chuck. You can go to chuckottley.com and reach me. It's real simple, real easy. I'm on Facebook. It says Chuck the Credit Dude. Because like I said, I'll help you fix your credit. So Chuck the Credit Dude Ottley. And 301-333-1111 is the easiest way to reach my office, and always leave a message. But you know, I'm thank you for being here, and thank you for inviting me, Joe.
Absolutely.
Well, you're going to sit tight because you're actually going to sit on a panel with her for a little bit before I let you go. Occasionally, you guys will hear some feedback. You'll hear this ringing. That's really just me thinking, and it's going right through the microphone and into the vibration of the floor and kicking back out of the speaker. Folks, do me a favor if you will. We're getting ready to run a few more commercials. Chuck, believe it or not, we actually do commercials on our show.
I'm sure. Gotta pay the bills, man.
Actually, that was a plug, brother.
We'll talk about that off the record, Chuck.
I'm always on my job. Folks, we'll be back in a few minutes. Rolling Grounds, not just sports entertainment show. Sit tight.